So if you didn't catch my name, I'm Mac Stone. I'm the director of Naturaland Trust, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit based right here in Greenville. And we've had a 48-year tenure, actually. We're one of the oldest land trusts in the Southeast, and our mission is to protect and preserve special places in the Blue Ridge Mountains, in South Carolina's Blue Ridge Mountains, and special places in the Piedmont. And we do it a little differently than a lot of other land trusts in that we acquire land fee simple. And over our 48 years, we've helped protect over 100,000 acres, and we currently hold and own right now about 9,000 acres. So a lot of the property that we have bought and protected, we ended up transferring over to the state or to the national forest or to to the county, for example, for other public places. And we do this, currently what we work on doing is expanding public parks, so Paris Mountain State Park or Jones Gap State Park or Caesars Head State Park. We acquire land fee simple to expand and protect these areas, or sometimes we purchase land to protect view sheds that we all appreciate. Like if we're standing on top of Table Rock or Caesars Head and looking out, you don't want to see a giant clear cut as your viewpoint. So we protect the view sheds that protect what we're looking at, but also protect the wildlife corridors for animals that walk through the Piedmont and up to the Blue Ridge. We also work to protect water resources, so Middle Saluda, South Saluda, North Saluda, the Reedy River. We buy and protect land on these areas and the tributaries and headwaters that feed into them. So we're looking at water quality as a big reason for that, because these are public drinking supplies. And we also look at properties that are important for public recreation. So a good example is the 9 Times Forest. When we purchased that, it's 1,650 acre tract, and on that property is Big Rock Mountain, which for years has been closed to the public. And once we bought it, we opened it up to rock climbing. It's now one of the most popular and important rock climbing destinations, and it's right here in South Carolina. And it attracts people from Georgia to North Carolina. Everyone comes out to this property. And it's also open to hunting and fishing. We also sometimes protect land, as Raleigh mentioned earlier, for a rare species. Like this is the mountain sweet pitcher plant, federally endangered plant that lives in these montane bogs. It's carnivorous, so it's low in nutrients, so it requires to eat insects to survive. And these are right here in our mountains, and a lot of people have never seen them. They're blooming right now. They're beautiful. And sometimes we protect land because there's an important fauna, like a green salamander or this. It's kind of hard to see because it's bright out. But all these little squiggly bright lines that you see here, these are blue ghost fireflies. And so they come out, and they only exist in these intact canopies and areas where the leaf litter is undisturbed. And this is a natural phenomenon that happens here. And so we protect these lands because of species like this. We also protect land, and we're not entirely sure what it's going to be. But when you own land fee simple, you can let time kind of work its way around it. So this is the Cancer Survivors Park, and we acquired this property because we thought it'd be an important forest along the Reedy River. It's right near downtown, and it's also, we thought, going to be an important thoroughfare for the Swamp Rabbit Trail. So we acquired this property, and then years later, and recently, of course, it has become the Cancer Survivors Park. So it's an area now where people come to interact, to get respite, to connect, and it's right here in the middle of downtown. It connects Falls Park with Cleveland Park. So these areas, they can be remote and rural up in the mountains, or they can be right in the middle of downtown. But fee simple acquisition allows you to do projects like this once you own a piece of property. And we saw how important these properties were, especially during the last year when a lot of parks and public places were closed down. I got countless calls and emails from people that were so grateful that our properties, our wilderness areas, were open. People would go and climb and hike. So these are very important, not just for going out and recreating, but also mental sanity too. But more than that too, these areas are very, very important because these are what we export to the rest of the world. When we talk about Greenville and we talk about the upstate, and we talk about how great it is to live in a place because you can have these urban areas and also these wilderness areas to go and recreate in. And so I think that's a really important thing, and especially now when we're having so many people move here, and yet you have a park like Jones Gap that only has 32 parking spaces. And if you've ever gone up there during the prime leaf peeping time, you'll be turned away because there are not that many parking spots. So we have to expand these areas because we're getting more people. And the way we work with fee simple acquisition is very straightforward. If you've ever bought a home or a piece of property, we pretty much do it the same way you do. We approach a landowner that has listed their property on the market. Sometimes they come to us because they know we're in this business. And we negotiate a purchase price for their property. And then we put that property under what we call a purchase option that gives us typically 6 months to a year. And now once we get that property under option, we then go get it appraised to make sure it appraises for fair market value or it's below that. We never pay above fair market value. Then we'll go do an environmental site assessment to make sure there are no contaminants on the property. And then also crucially during that time is when we go to the state conservation bank, or we'll go to our local foundations, or we'll try to raise money privately to purchase that property. All the while during that time we're keeping in touch with the landowner. Of course they're a willing seller, they're part of this deal. And so that's how we raise and do these projects. And to give you a tangible example, y'all might be familiar with this area. This is Wildcat Wayside State Park, the South Saluda River corridor. This is where the gentleman sells peanuts on the side of the road right before you go up to Caesar's Head. So this is what it looked like in 2005. DNR bought this purple piece of property here because they wanted to create a fishery. But as Raleigh said earlier, government tends to move slowly. So a lot of times we work on behalf of the government. We work on behalf of state biologists or state parks or sometimes even the National Forest to buy and protect property that might take them 3 years to buy, where we can make a decision in an evening with our board to say this is important. And as properties come on the market, we can maneuver. And so in 13 years, when we identified this as one of our focus areas, in 13 years, this is what the landscape then looked like. So we were able to fill in all these crucial pieces and protect over 1 mile of frontage on the South Saluda River and fill in those crucial pieces that expanded the state park, that expanded the heritage preserve. And we were able to do that because there were funding pools that existed. Local foundations, we had the Scenic Byways Fund, and we had the Conservation Bank. Now 2 of those have pretty much dried up. So we're in a tough spot if we want to protect more property in these areas as they come on the market. So having those funding sources is critical for the match that Raleigh talked about with the Conservation Bank. But what's really interesting is, like I said earlier, is what you can do once you own property. So once we own the property, we can then make it open to the public and we can restore it. So we put in these, well, we probably should have turned off the lights better, but actually, can I do that? All right. So put in, well, it's still dark, but we put in these rock veins that oxygenated the water, that improved habitat for trout. So over the years, this has now become one of the most popular trout fishing destinations in South Carolina because it's right off Scenic Highway 11. And people come year-round to come and fish in this place. And it's all because we were able to piece together those properties over time. It didn't happen in 1 year. It happens if you take the long view and you approach it deliberately. And I think that's pretty much a good summary of what's ahead of us now. We all see the popularity that this region has. And we know why we have it. It's because we've done a really good job at balancing urban and green space. And that's going to get harder and harder to do as more people come and land values increase. So it'd be really helpful to have these matching funding sources that allow us to try and keep pace and keep this balance between green and urban space that we all enjoy so much. And that's it. Thank you very much.